Pain is a beautiful thing. It's a great teacher. It teaches you so much. The difference between pain and suffering. I was in constant pain after the accident. I spent a lot of time in hospital. About 2.5 months I was in the hospital. Then I got discharged and I was bedridden in my home, confined for 2 consecutive years. When I was in the hospital, the first thing that I learned was hospital is a place where people become so brutally honest, especially your doctors, because they have to be honest. They cannot give you false hopes. I always aspired to become an artist, but when my hand was completely fractured, my arm was fractured and my hand was deformed, pre-surgery and post-surgery, I was crying for this because I could not hold a pen because my fingers were deformed. It was bad. Even right now, I cannot move my wrist. I cannot. I did not realize what I had lost. So one day, doctor came. Your spine injury is dreadful. And nobody wants to operate your back because it's going to be very risky. Your 3 vertebrae are gone completely. But I really want to operate your back because I want you to sit. I do not want you to stay in bed for the rest of your life. And I looked at him and I said, but what about me walking? And he punched me in the head and he said, I have to tell you something. You are going to use the wheelchair for the rest of your life. And I was like, okay, again, I'm just 21. There is something else I want you to know. And I said, what next? He said, it's like one after another, right? Things were changing. And he said, you won't be able to be a mother. It really shook me to the core, Louis, because I loved kids. And that was the moment when I actually thought that, oh my God, something big has happened to me. And now slowly I'm realizing every day people are coming in and they're saying what you are not able to do. That night was the most painful night of my life. When the doctors left, everyone went. My mother was with me all the time, like my shadow standing next to me. I looked at her and by the time I was very composed and quiet, did not cry, did not scream. But that night when I was told that no walking, no babies, I was devastated. And I looked at my mother and she was reciting something and I looked at her and I said, you lied to me. You said God loved me. Then how God can do this to me? I'm in so much pain, like physical pain, psychological pain, emotional pain. I just don't want to live. There's nothing to look forward to. Just pray. I want to die. And I just started crying. And I cried and I cried and I did not stop. And my mother was standing next to me. She was so patient. She held my hands and when I got done crying, because I was so tired of crying, I had a chest tube in my lungs. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't cough. I couldn't sneeze. I couldn't even cry louder because, my rib cage was not there. My lungs were damaged. And so my mother said something beautiful, Louis. She said, you are my only daughter. And you're not the only one who's feeling paralyzed. When I see you in pain, I feel paralyzed too. But let me tell you something. This pain will not last longer. This time will pass because nothing lasts forever. And one day, God will show you why did He choose you out of so many people for this test. So please be patient. And nothing made sense. What she was saying, it did not make sense at all because I was at the verge of despair. And Louis, that was the moment when I realized that when you are at the verge of despair, just one voice of sanity can really save your life.
Yeah.
It can save you from drowning in self-doubt. And in my case, when I was in ICU, my mother's voice saved me.